Tonight, displaced Ukrainian families are slowly adjusting to day-to-day life in Saskatchewan.
This next surge of cases of COVID-19 are coming sooner than we had expected.
Get ready to put your mask back on. Another potential wave of COVID-19 is on its way. And the Riders get ready for tomorrow night's battle with the Ottawa Red Blacks.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It's Thursday, July 7th. CBC Saskatchewan News starts now. Hello, and thanks for joining us. Ukrainians displaced by the war in their home country continue to settle into Regina this week. And today, they were getting a helping hand as they applied for some everyday necessities. Alexander Kwan has more.
It is another busy day at the University of Regina. While those attending are learning, they're not students. They're some of the roughly 900 displaced Ukrainians now living in Saskatchewan. This day's lesson? Getting what you need to live in Canada.
It's a blessing to feel that you are being taken care of.
Olga Machuga is one of the 230 Ukrainians who landed on a humanitarian plane in Regina on Monday. While all of the passengers' stories are different, they have one thing in common: leaving everything they've known behind.
We were united, you know. We were united by one horrible situation, by war.
The displaced Ukrainians are getting their bearings. Many are living in campus dormitories at the University of Regina. In order to make the transition easier, the services they need to access have been brought to them. That has meant they are able to get health cards and social insurance numbers, while arranging for things such as permanent housing, employment, and education, all in one place. Olga has been able to arrange a bank account, bus pass, and a cell phone over the past few days. While it was difficult to leave home, Olga says the support from every Canadian has made the transition easier.
Sometimes, no matter what place, what really matters is people. So when you are surrounded by the people that care about you, that love you, that laugh with you, and then, no matter where you are, if you have peace above your head and you have this kind of people, you feel really great.
Like many of those who have come to Canada, Olga's journey has just begun. Equipped with many of the things she will need for the future, she will now head to Winnipeg, where she will reunite with her mother's childhood friend. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Regina.
SaskTel wrapped up the week of Crown financial reports today and has reported a net income of a little over $104 million in 2020-2021. This is a drop of about $26 million from the previous year. But despite another year of over $100 million in net income, the struggle to get complete broadband coverage to rural Saskatchewan continues.
SaskTel has indicated that they have listed a number of communities that they plan to go into. In addition to that, we have a number of private providers that we've made arrangements with so that they would be able to have access to some of that portion of the market.
We've been calling on the Sask Party government, as have other organizations that are pushing for connectivity across the province, recognizing how important it is to the people of the province. We've been calling for the government to stop raiding those dollars, to stop taking that dividend, to allow SaskTel to invest it in making connectivity happen.
In total, SaskTel brought in more than $1.3 billion in operating revenues, bolstered by its wireless network and equipment, as well as its broadband and data sectors. Experts say it will be only a matter of weeks before the COVID situation in Saskatchewan gets worse. This comes as the fast-spreading Omicron BA.5 subvariant dominates other parts of Canada. Yasmin Renea has more.
COVID cases, hospitalizations, and deaths are all trending down in Saskatchewan, but this expert says we'll likely enter another COVID wave within weeks.
This next surge of cases of COVID-19 are coming sooner than we had expected.
Ontario's top doctor confirmed Wednesday that the province has officially entered its 7th COVID wave, driven by the Omicron BA.5 subvariant, and it's also now the dominant variant in the United States. Its sister subvariant, BA.4, is also rapidly spreading around the world. We know BA.5 still only makes up a small percentage of variants in Saskatchewan, but the most recent data shared by the province is almost 2 weeks old. It's inevitable that it will be the dominant strain, says this expert.
I would expect that in subsequent weeks reporting, we'll see that number creeping up to the point where it eventually becomes the dominant substrain that we'll see in this province as well.
The BA.4 and BA.5 subvariants are highly contagious and are better at evading immunity, either from vaccination or previous COVID infection. But doctors say vaccines are still the best way to avoid getting seriously ill. Saskatchewan's booster vaccination rate is much lower than the national average and has lagged for months. The Saskatchewan Health Authority says it's monitoring the COVID situation here and in other places. Experts say you should get vaccinated if you haven't yet, including booster shots, wear a mask in crowded indoor spaces, and stay home if you're sick. Yasmin Ranea, CBC News, Saskatoon.
A growing number of hospitals across the country have been forced to close their emergency departments or are cutting back hours. This comes after more than 2 years of strain from the pandemic and amid ongoing staffing shortages. As Elise Von Schiel tells us, the consequences for patients are already being felt.
It's extremely scary and frustrating.
Caroline Pereira and her husband spent 15 hours watching their little girl struggle to breathe with pneumonia in a packed Calgary ER.
It was pretty distressing, and it didn't help all of the other sick kids around that their parents are feeling the same things that I was feeling, and there's just nothing we can do.
It was traumatic, but Pereira knows she was lucky to even receive care. ERs across the country are being forced to close with staff shortages, illness, and severe burnout.
I hope it doesn't come to this, but if people can't be seen in a timely fashion, some people may die. The distress that causes on an already burnt out healthcare workforce is immeasurable.
Those watching the ERs buckle say it's not just the pandemic. The healthcare system has been staving off collapse for years. The hospital in Melita, Manitoba is closing for the summer. Patients will need to drive an hour and a half for care.
If you have a system that's not working properly in the first place, it has to be fixed. And some of these small hospitals maybe have been ignored for too long.
Similar situations are playing out in Nova Scotia, Ontario, Quebec, and across Western Canada. In Clearwater, BC, staff are warning the shutdowns won't stop.
It's a huge struggle to go to work every day, knowing that you're coming into probably a workplace where we don't have enough people to provide the quality and quantity of care that we want to be able to provide.
Those working in healthcare say education, hiring, and more resources are needed, but that may not come quickly. And with no immediate relief, there's concerns about the strain another wave of COVID-19 could put on already struggling hospitals. Elise Von Schiel, CBC News, Calgary.
The family of a woman missing from North Battleford is hoping a cash reward will help bring new clues into her disappearance. Ashley Morin was last seen in July of 2018. It took a year for police to announce that they believed Morin was the victim of a homicide. Her family is not giving up hope and are desperate for answers. They are hoping a $25,000 reward will bring someone forward.
Please, please, we beg of you, let us have our Ashley back, where she's loved and missed dearly. We as a family hardly celebrate any holidays or gatherings, as it hurts so much. A huge piece of our family is missing, and she's out there somewhere. There are people out there that have information. There are people out there that have details. There are people out there that know what has happened.
Morin's family is planning an awareness walk over the weekend. Participants will be leaving from the Saskatoon Police Station for the 3-day journey to North Battleford. This is the 4th and the final time the walk will take place. Chiefs at the Assembly of First Nations have approved a review of the organization's finances. The resolution passed today calls for a committee of chiefs to be involved in the review. If the committee decides more needs to be done, it would pave the way for a forensic audit of the AFN's finances going back 10 years. 75% of chiefs voted in favor of the resolution. National Chief Roseanne Archibald has been demanding a review and says she was suspended last month for making that call. An interactive video game exhibit and a Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Tournament are just some of the new things football fans can expect at this year's Grey Cup Festival in Regina. The federal government is chipping in $2 million to help pay for the festival, which was supposed to happen in 2020, but was canceled due to COVID. The last Grey Cup Festival in 2013 included the usual live music, partying, and fun for families. But this year, organizers are hoping to bring in younger fans with video games.
And I think getting young people involved in sporting activity, even through virtual technology, is significant, because we got to start where young people are at. And obviously the Saskatchewan football team and the CFL have a keen understanding of that, and it was important to them, and that's something we can support.
Vandal says losing the 2020 Grey Cup was a major blow to the local and provincial economies. He says this year's events are expected to bring in around $70 to $80 million. The festival will take place November 15th to the 20th in Regina. For the third straight week, the Saskatchewan Roughriders will face an Eastern opponent. This round will be the winless Ottawa Red Blacks at Mosaic Stadium tomorrow night. The 3-1 Riders are a beat-up bunch, and they will now be without left tackle Taryn Vaughn. As for the rest of the bumped and bruised, including quarterback Cody Fajardo, they will have to limp their way through it. Now, Ottawa may be winless, but the Riders feel the Red Blacks are rested and underestimated.
They're a pretty good team. So the folks that are beating up on them, I would say maybe this is maybe they're on the wrong course there. You know, they've lost 3 games, but it's been by a total of 12 points. And they've played Winnipeg and BC, who are both undefeated. So our guys know Ottawa's a good team, and they know it's going to be a tough out.
We haven't had our best lineup in since week 1, our true, all of our starters in. And, you know, just speaking personally, it's frustrating when you kind of have to gut through some things and you can't play at 100%, and you know that you're kind of limited in some aspects.
Game time tomorrow night is 7:30. This is the third of 5 straight games against Eastern foes. Next week, the Riders are off to Nova Scotia to face the Argos in Touchdown Atlantic. Yet another overcast day in downtown Regina. Still nice enough for a bike ride or a stroll around town. Now, will things stay the same, or are we in for a bit of a ride when it comes with the weather? Ethan will be back after the break with his full forecast. Till then, stay with us.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital GMC Buick Cadillac. The exclusive export event is back.
Ethan's in now with a look at the weather. And Ethan, looks like we're starting to get into that usual prairie summer of warm days, volatile nights, and repeat.
Yes, rinse and repeat over and over again, and today is no exception, Dan. We have storms happening right now and will likely be happening overnight again. Watches and warnings in place at this time. The Kindersley Rosetown area, Leader, Gull Lake, Swift Current down to the Cypress Hills. A severe thunderstorm watch in effect for nocturnal thunderstorms that could be developing this evening. And we do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect now for the RM of Enterprise along the very western side of the province. This cell near Schuler, Alberta, which is moving to the northeast toward Fox Valley, crossing between Burstall and Fox Valley, is producing nickel to ping pong ball sized hail, likely some very strong winds as well, and some locally heavy rain. Now, severe thunderstorm warning actually just dropped off for this cell, which is just crossing the Alberta-Saskatchewan border near Alsask, and this one is continuing to move to the northeast as well. And we'll take a wider look at all the storms. It's been a really stormy day in Alberta. They've had reports of tornadoes with supercells popping up all along the Alberta foothills and eastward today, and that is what's starts marching its way eastward into southwestern Saskatchewan as well. Now that shift is, or that risk tomorrow is going to shift its way eastward, and a lot of south and central Saskatchewan under a risk for severe storms tomorrow as well, and gusts could be up to 100 kilometers an hour, some sizable hail there, and 1 or 2 tornadoes can't be ruled out as well, as we look at Regina, Saskatoon, Yorkton, Lloydminster, a whole swath under a potentially severe risk, and then portions of the north under a general non-severe risk at this time. This is a look at the storm energy. This is the energy that's in the atmosphere tomorrow around supper time. And as you can see, just northeast of Saskatoon is really where it's strongest, but in a line from Lloydminster down to Regina, down toward Weyburn, Estevan, especially if you're heading to the Rider game tomorrow night, you may want to just keep an eye out, as we're just waiting for kind of the spark to set off these storms that could be developing. This is a look at our tornado parameter, and it's on a scale from 0 to 10, and the top amounts right now around 9 o'clock tomorrow are looking at around a 2. So it's not really high, but again, tomorrow, especially through the evening hours, you'll want to make sure you have a plan in place in case any warnings pop up. Showers and thunderstorms tonight. Tomorrow morning, we could see our first wave of those mid-morning affecting Regina and Saskatoon. General showers then as we get to the afternoon, widespread throughout south and central Saskatchewan. Pockets of heavier showers as we get into early Saturday morning, as the eastern part of the province will be affected by those kind of late day storms on Friday and into early Saturday. And then yet another system making its way through, and Saturday, Sunday could be another couple of potentially severe days, as you'll see on our 7-day outlook here. But the humidex is really going to pick up as those humidity levels take effect. We could be feeling into the mid-30s for the next few days, but some nice days ahead. Systems start to pull out as we head into the beginning of next week, Dan. And wow, we look at those temperatures going into next week, and that is really going to feel like summer.
It's always an adventure on the prairies, isn't it?
Never a dull moment.
All right, thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
A zoo in Mexico City hosted a giant panda party in honor of 2 longtime residents. Birthday celebrations for the 2 30-something pandas featured cake, presents, and a live musical performance. The pair delighted visitors and zookeepers as they playfully opened their gifts. Zoo officials say they're the oldest pandas in captivity and in good health for their ages of 33 and 35. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. Boris Johnson has resigned as leader of Britain's Conservative Party. His colleagues revolted after yet another scandal, this one involving Johnson's handling of a sexual misconduct complaint against an MP. Ashley Burke reports on what happened today and what could come next.
This is a day for the history books. We were outside 10 Downing when crowds of people outside the gates were booing, and Prime Minister Boris Johnson walked out of that famous door and up to the microphone to give his resignation speech. He said that he fought tooth and nail to stay on, but it became too much.
I want you to know how sad I am to be giving up the best job in the world. But them's the breaks.
The resignation followed days of turmoil within the Conservative Party. More ministers and aides quit on one day alone than ever before in Britain's history. Up until late last night, Johnson was defiant, saying he would stay on. But today that changed amid more resignations and pleas for him to go.
I want to thank you, the British public, for the immense privilege that you have given me. And I want you to know that from now on until the new Prime Minister is in place, your interests will be served and the government of the country will be carried on.
Now the big question is, how long will Johnson stay on as Prime Minister? The leader of the opposition threatened today to try and call a non-confidence vote.
He needs to go completely. None of this nonsense about clinging on for a few months. He's inflicted lies, fraud and chaos in the country. And you know, we're stuck with a government which isn't functioning in the middle of a cost of living crisis. And all of those that have been propping him up should be utterly ashamed of themselves.
Johnson thanked the British public and said, as his friends in politics know, no one is indispensable, even him. Ashley Burke, CBC News, London.
U.S. basketball player Brittany Griner has pleaded guilty in a Russian court to drug charges. She could be facing up to 10 years in prison. Griner was detained at a Moscow airport in February. Cannabis oil was found in her luggage, and at a hearing today, she said she was in a hurry when she packed and had no intention of committing a crime. Griner is a two-time Olympic gold medalist and star of the WNBA's Phoenix Mercury. A former contender to lead the Conservative Party of Canada says he will fight his disqualification. Patrick Brown was booted from the race earlier this week over allegations he broke campaign financing rules. And Marina von Stackelberg reports.
Patrick Brown has hired a team of high-profile lawyers to fight his disqualification. Sources say there are allegations that a private company was paying some members of his campaign staff. In a letter sent to the Conservative Party, Brown's lawyers say he wasn't involved in any misconduct. They call the decision to remove him from the race politically motivated and preordained.
It's clear the party establishment was nervous that we were going to beat Pierre Poilievre.
Brown says his leadership rival, Pierre Poilievre, is behind his disqualification, a claim Poilievre denies, and Brown has yet to back up with evidence. The Conservative Party won't provide more details on the allegations against Brown, but say the complaint came from within his own camp.
We had serious information, serious allegations that dealt with violating the Canada Elections Act, and Mr. Brown's campaign was provided ample opportunity to respond.
Brown says the party establishment didn't like his progressive views. He says he signed up 150,000 new members, many from diverse communities. Former Conservative candidate Simon Mousserat says some of those new Conservatives are now disenchanted.
Without the Patrick's vision, which is a bigger, inclusive, multicultural, everybody from every ethnic group is welcomed in this party, we cannot win the general election.
As for who will win to lead the Conservative Party, it's unclear whether Brown's supporters will cast a ballot for another progressive candidate or decide not to vote at all.
If Patrick Brown is to be believed, is that they joined up because they believed in him. So if he's gone, they may not go anywhere. Where they may go is on having their buttocks sit on their hands. And that's not necessarily a good thing for the Conservative Party or candidates other than Pierre Poilievre.
The Conservative Party's president says Brown supporters still belong within the party. He's urging them to vote for one of the other 5 candidates when they choose a new leader this September. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Ottawa.
There was a dramatic moment on a highway near Toronto yesterday, and it was all captured on video. Police say a 36-year-old man experiencing some sort of medical episode was trapped in his burning car. 5 passers-by ran towards the danger. They were able to smash the driver's side window. Police say the man inside was unresponsive and the passers-by were able to get him out. Moments later, the car burst into flames. With one last look at weather, Ethan Williams is back. Ethan?
Thanks, Dan. And a pretty nice morning tomorrow in Regina with cloud cover building in around 19 degrees at 8 a.m. South gusts will pick up a little bit. And then as we head into the noon hour, we could see some showers and thunderstorms start to build in a little bit. Could be severe risk as we get to the noon hour in Regina. Saskatoon, we're looking for showers at 8 a.m. tomorrow, 19 degrees. Again, breezy south winds. We will see some clearing at the noon hour, 25 degrees, before we hit the afternoon and possibly some thunderstorms. And speaking of thunderstorms, a reminder, severe thunderstorm warning for the RM of Enterprise for this storm heading toward the Fox Valley area, up to nickel-sized hail with this, and a reminder of our watches, Dan, in the southwest and west central part of the province for storms overnight tonight.
Thanks, Ethan. Hope everybody stays safe. And that's it for us tonight. For news anytime, head to cbc.ca/sask or /Saskatoon, or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. And as always, Glenn Reed will be back with more local news tonight at 11. Till then, thanks everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow.